Good morning, this is Jack from Chartered Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 17th of September. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to trade charts. I'm not here to shoot trading signals. Right, let's have a look at the ES. Now, we've had, I was writing a post a couple of days ago where I was talking about the bearish lean for the rest of the month. We've now had yesterday, which was the remaining bullish day before the last one, which is on the 26th. And basically, we've now got neutral or bearish days for practically all of the remaining days of September. We will see what happens here. But in the short term, this looks like a little bull flag from the high yesterday. On NQ, might well be a little bull flag, but more concerningly, this is a pretty clear looking bull flag setup from the current high on RTY, which wasn't retested over the last couple of days. On YM, we've got the same. And a nice test of the rising support trend line from the August low. On DAX, I've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing after a retest of this low. Potential level bottom here, although it's a bit asymmetric. And I'm not really expecting to see a big move up on the European stocks, but always something to bear in mind. Here on ESTX, we have a sell signal here that's made target, and we're getting below the weekly pivot here. So I am wondering if this is a flag setup which is starting to reject back down into this low. So, but watching that with interest. But we don't really have a strong impulse either way. And while we do have a lower low here, we don't have any positive divergence on the 60-minute chart. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, on SPX, in terms of the daily charts, we've been seeing a consolidation the last day or so, but not a great deal. In terms of SPX, we're still pretty close to the 3SD upper band, but we've been going up long enough that that's moved away from price. Am I still wondering about a possible test of this trend line here? Yes, but we're still a long way away from it. We've had a high here at 66.26. Well, 66.27 in effect. That is still quite a way short, maybe 50 handles short of this trend line here. So unless we see a big move, I'm not really seeing that as on the table. On Qs, obviously we've gone higher. That has weakened the possible double top setup. But what I would say is, we haven't made any progress on the downside in terms of setting up some negative divergence here. We could with a pullback and a retest, but it would require a pullback and a retest, and the same goes for SPX as well. Looking at the Qs on the hourly charts, we've now got another retest of that high, and we'd have some negative divergence here. We've already got some open sell signals, obviously, on the SPX chart. The hourly RSI 14 sell signal, hourly RSI 5 sell signal. All right. In terms of the short term, let's look at Dow first. Okay, Dow. Dow, we've got no divergence, and we're not close to any divergence on the RSI 5, although if we did retest the high, we could set up a possible daily RSI 5 sell signal. That would likely obviously push SPX and the Qs higher, possibly up into those targets that I was talking about. In terms of the hourly chart, not close to anything, pretty close to this main rising support trend line. Here, we have a nice looking move up from the August high, but that's not testing rising support at the moment. This does kind of look like a bull flag though. We shall see. All right, let's have a look at the IWM chart. And on the IWM chart, we've got a nice touch of the right move up from the beginning of August low. We will see how that goes, but this does kind of look like a bull flag. I wouldn't be surprised to see a retest of the high from here. In terms of the daily charts, if we do see that retest, I would be wondering about a run through to reach the head and shoulder target, inverted head and shoulder target, which is at 242.35. Yeah, 242.35, and we've got pretty close to that. We managed to get to 240.25. So we're only 2 handles short. We do have sell signals already on the daily chart. All right, looking at DAX. If it goes much further down, and it could, then we're going to get pretty close to this main double top support, which I've got in the 23,000 area. We've still got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fix. That's now reached the possible near missed target area. On Nikkei, we haven't quite made it up into the trend line that I was wondering would get made, and I've got that in the 45,500 area. We could still make that, waiting to see, and if we see a push up on the indices, then obviously we may well see that. All right, let's have a look at DX. DX, we've seen a move down, and this is going to be, it's easier to look at this on the bigger picture because it's on the spot price where the targets really are. But at the moment, that is looking pretty good for a little lower, which would get us into the target there. USD, nice, very nice move up. GBP USD, we got a 60-minute sell signal fixed, but we've already retested this high here. We could go higher. USD JPY, no current positive divergence. Obviously, we've seen a double hit on here. Could that be a double bottom? Conceivably, although not really anything of any quality. USD CAD, I've been watching this possible head and shoulders forming for a while, and that is now almost formed. We could see a breakdown here. That would fit if we start seeing a serious breakdown in the dollar, and that is potentially on the cards here, but I'll be talking more about that more on the daily chart. On Australian dollar, 60-minute sell signals fixed, not really delivered anything so far. NZ, we had a signal, made possible near miss target. We've got possible topping action here, but again, nothing really of any particular quality. Okay, let's have a look at the currencies. And on the dollar chart, this is the main thing I've been watching. This IHS here has failed. And this bear flag that I was talking about as the alternate pattern has now almost made target, but not quite. The target on the dollar spot price is 96.38, and we've made it down as far as 96.56. That still needs to go another 0.18 to get it, but when we do get that, then we've got a potential fairly sizable double bottom that could play out. Bigger picture, of course, we've got still very nice looking bullish patterns. This is the dollar breaking yesterday through the main rising megaphone support that was tested a couple of months ago. This puts this in a likely topping pattern, but of course, as that part of that topping pattern, we could retest the high, and I don't really have an obvious topping pattern here yet, except that the bull flag itself, if it breaks the other way, could be the topping pattern. And if so, this would have a target, I think, I worked this out a few months ago, that would have a target in about the 81 area. If we see a sustained breakdown from here, then yeah, we could see a major slide in the dollar with a target a long way below. Too early to call that yet, but if we get down to this low and we keep on going and we keep on going with force, then that would definitely be on the cards. In terms of the euro on the bigger picture, we retested this high. We've got a nice looking double top here, which could play out to the downside. And obviously we've got the same flag pattern here that is also obviously potentially setting up a retest of a major low on the euro here. That, got to say, doesn't really particularly fit with the fundamentals here, but we've got the same thing on GBP, and until those actually break in the other direction with force, those need to be respected. In terms of the retests of the highs here, 118.30, we retested that and we've got 118.78. That's now a very nice looking double top. GBP USD hasn't quite made it up into the retest of 1.3789, but is potentially within range. USD JPY, where on the bigger picture, I'm looking for a potential pattern to take this lower, and that pattern could be a head and shoulders, which I've marked in here. But we'll see how that goes. Yeah, we will see how that goes. I'm still wondering about a possible retest of this high here, which could give us a larger double top to top out within this larger rising megaphone here. And that, if we see it, could obviously be a pretty strong match with what we're seeing on the dollar in terms of possible retest of the high there. In terms of USD CAD, main thing I'm looking at here is, been looking at for months, is a really nice looking potential level top here. This hasn't been moving as much as the dollar has. So in terms of the short term, we've got an IHS which broke up here, but is actually pretty close to failing. If we go much lower, we only need to get below this line here. Hasn't quite failed yet, but if it does, then that's got a target lower and a retest of this low. In terms of the Australian dollar, still wondering whether we'll see a break up over this channel resistance, which we haven't seen so far. In terms of the daily chart, we've got a little possible daily RSI 5 sell signal brewing, but it's a weak one. NZUSD, we've been in this very, very long continuation going over 5 years now, in consolidation, and waiting for a break here. We're not close to seeing that here. In terms of the head and shoulders that broke down here, that has now failed. Or at least this double top is still in play. I had a possible alternate larger head and shoulders here, and that's now failed. Or at least, no, it hasn't quite failed. We're not quite over the right shoulder high, but if it fails, then honestly, I think that's the real pattern here, and I'd be looking probably for a retest of this high if we saw that. All right, great. Let's have a look at bonds. Now, bonds have been surprisingly muted the last couple of days. We are seeing a little more upside here. We've got some signals suggesting reversal here, and on the bigger picture charts, but we're not really seeing that deliver so far. We do have a potential level top here on ZN. We could be forming a topping pattern here, but not particularly clear what that would be. That could be a down sloping head and shoulders. And I'm not going to redraw the trend line on that yet, but if we see a big reversal when the interest rate numbers come out, then that would be the obvious way to go. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, TYX. We've got a possible weak RSI 5 buy signal brewing, and on TNX, we've got a possible weak RSI 5 buy signal fix. Retest these lows, as we are close to doing, but haven't done yet, then we can actually set up some full size buy signals here. So on TNX and TYX. So we may well see that, and if so, we could set up a very nice move to the upside on bond yields and the downside on bonds. In terms of TLT, we've got a weak RSI 5 sell signal brewing here, and all right, we've already seen the high retest. In that case, that is actually a possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing, not a weak one. In terms of the short term, we've got RSI 14 hourly sell signal fixed on TLT, and we've got an hourly RSI 14 buy signal fixed on TNX. Although these haven't delivered yet. It's waiting to see, but there's definitely the divergence to suggest we might see a significant move up in bonds in the near future. All right, great. Let's have a look at CL. So, oil. We've seen a bit of a move up over the last couple of days. I don't know whether this is going to be sustainable. At the moment, there's still quite a lot of pressures suggesting that oil's going to go down. Although I have to say, Ukraine have been knocking out quite a lot of Russia's refining capacity over recent months, and that could add take some oil off the market, obviously. But at the same time, OPEC has been increasing production, so at the moment I'm not seeing much reason for this to go up. There is still a pretty good argument to think this is going to retest the lows in the mid-50s, but we'll see. We're seeing a bit of a rally at the moment. We'll see where that goes. This could be part of an overall flag forming. We will see. But at the moment I'm not seeing much reason for this to go up. In terms of heating oil, I was leaning towards seeing a retest of this high, and we've seen it. This could be the second high of a slightly oversized double top. On RBOB, I was leaning towards seeing a retest of this high, and we've seen it. This could be the second high of a slightly oversized double top. On NG, we're seeing a bit of a move up here, and while I would love to see a retest of the low, what I'm wondering about here is that we do have a potential inverted head and shoulders here, although it looks better on the daily chart. But that is the trend line there. So the neckline. And we're getting pretty close to that. And if we see a break up from that, that could take us a lot higher. In the short term, we do still have, of course, this original IHS here, which has got a target up in the 330 area. If we reach that, then we could be breaking up from a significantly larger double top. Now, I have been talking for a while about the seasonal lean over the next 3 months. The implicit assumption in the rolls that it's going to be going up by at least 1.1, and that really to just basically stay long and break even, it would need to go up one 1.1 over the next 3 months. We will see how that goes. 1.1, 1.2. So, all right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Right, on WTIC, we are back over the daily middle band and back testing the 50 DMA, which was resistance last time and which is a pretty important support and resistance level on oil. So watching that with interest, but I'm not seeing any compelling reason to think that's going to break back above at the moment. On the bigger picture, obviously, I'm looking for a reversal pattern here. We could have an IHS forming here, an IHS right shoulder. Got to say, it's not a particularly nice one. We can get a much cleaner and better reversal pattern here by going back to 56.06. Obviously, in terms of over the next couple of years, this is a very bullish leading pattern, and it is matched by another one on heating oil and another one on gas oil. The heating oil one, we do have a potential level bottom set up here already. Although that broke up and rejected pretty strongly. So in terms of gas oil, we don't have an obvious reversal pattern here already. And if we were to go back and retest this low here, then that would give us a very nice looking double bottom where we don't really have a reversal pattern at the moment. I have actually drawn in this line here as a possible oversized head and shoulders. It's not something I'm taking seriously. I just draw these things in as possibilities just so I don't forget them later. All right, in terms of the daily chart, heating oil is back over the daily upper band, but this kind of looks like an overall bear flag forming. In terms of gas oil, we are still back testing the daily middle band at the moment. Does this look like could be a small bear flag forming, but as part of what seems likely to be a larger bear flag forming, setting up a retest this low here at 1.8552. In terms of natural gas, on the bigger picture, if it wasn't for the seasonals, I'd be leaning towards a move lower, but I think realistically, it looks like we're going to be taking a pause. And here we've got a decent looking inverted head and shoulders, which has formed and is pretty close to breaking up. This is the natural gas and continuous chart, and this is what I would use for the bigger picture patterns. We're not really seeing the same sort of pattern here because it changes a lot in the rolls, but this is what I think we're looking at here. If we see a sustained breakup over resistance, which is in the 3.17 area, then we would be looking at a target which would be realistically in about 3.69, 3.7 area. So back up here. That looks entirely credible over the next few months, given the seasonal lean on the oil prices. On the natural gas prices. All right, let's have a look at precious metals on GC. Possible topping action here. We did have a 60-minute sell signal that's now pretty much reached target. SI, we've seen a decline here, and I think this could be the start of a significant retracement. I've got reasons to talk about that, and that'll be a relief to at least one of you. And I've got targets on that on GDX, which I want to talk about. Palladium, we've got a head and shoulders here, which is, and we've still got an inverted head and shoulders, which has broken up with a target in the 1308 area. But in the short term, we've got a head and shoulders, which is broken down with a target in the 1124 area. And actually, because this right shoulder low was so deep, we can actually make that target without invalidating the first IHS, i.e. we could potentially do one and then the other. But in the short term, we've broken down from this. We're halfway to the target, and I'm thinking it may well make the rest of the way. On platinum, we've given up our gains here. This could be the second low of a slightly oversized double bottom here, but I'm thinking that I may just be redrawing this trend line here across to there, and we're forming a larger pattern, which could still be a bull flag, but need not necessarily be a bull flag. So actually, I'm going to leave that here at this point. On HG, we're seeing some weakness here. This still looks like a bear flag that's been forming for the thick end of a couple of months now. Sooner or later, I'm expecting that to result in a retest of the low here at 4.38. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts on those. Okay, gold. Looking at the daily chart, we've got a possible weak RSI 14 sell signal brewing now. possible weak RSI 5 sell signal brewing. Now, nothing on the RSI 14, but it's not a bad looking divergence. And I am wondering about seeing some retracement here, mainly, I have to say, looking at the other charts. On silver, the weak RSI 14 sell signal failed, and we've got a full size RSI 5 sell signal now brewing on the silver chart. Did we quite make it to my resistance trend line here? Not quite. So might need to go up a little further into that, but I'm not sure how significant that trend line is in any case. Bigger picture, I think after retracement, this may well be having a try at a retest of the all-time high at 49.51. All right, looking at palladium. Palladium, overall, this kind of still kind of looks like a bear flag. In terms of the chart here, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed and it hasn't made target yet, and it may be that we're about to make that. But I don't think the pattern setup is giving us an awful lot of clues. The hourly chart's the best chart on this one. On the main platinum chart, platinum chart, we've got a nice looking resistance trend line here, which has been holding for a while now. We don't have any negative divergence. I was wondering about a retest of the high to set some up, but at the moment it doesn't look like we're going to get it. In terms of the daily chart, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. I think that may be about to make target. The main support here is the daily middle band, which I've got at 1370. That's been pretty good support so far. If that breaks, then I would be wondering about a possible ABC, i.e. we could see a sizable retracement here. All right, looking at the copper chart, still leaning towards the downside, no current divergence really. This looks like a bear flag, and I'm wondering about a retest of this low here at 4.31 and a possible move down into this trend line here in the 4.08 area. All right, looking at GDX. Now, I wasn't particularly encouraging about the prospects for a move down here when I was talking about it on Sunday, and it has actually held up the last couple of days, but we've now got a weak RSI 5 sell signal which is fixed on the daily chart, which is a significant sign of weakness. We've had an hourly sell signal brewing for quite a while here, and that hadn't fixed, but now it has fixed. I'm thinking we may well see a retracement here. Ideally, I'd be looking for a move back down into the 63.5 to 64 area, as to basically do a retracement of this last move up. We will see, but I'd be quite liking that level. In terms of hang on, I'm going to draw in the bands here, so bear with me a moment. Hang on 1 second. Sorry, bulge bands here. All right, so I've drawn those in. All right, and again, you can see the daily middle band is at 64. That is the very obvious place to be heading back to. So I'm thinking we may well be going for a back test of that area there, and that would be the first obvious target. The hourly sell signals, I like them. They've been forming for quite a while, and I'm expecting them to make target. So we shall see. I haven't set that up, but I think the obvious corresponding target in the on GDXJ would be at about the 78 area, although I haven't marked that in here. All right, great. In that case, let's have a look at the other commodities. KC. KC, we had a 60-minute sell signal that fixed yesterday. It's already made target, and we've come back to test the weekly pivot. Do we have a topping pattern here? Nothing obvious at the moment, although I've got a possible head and shoulder neckline down here in about the 363 area. Looking at sugar. Sugar, this kind of looks like a bear flag, which may be setting up a retest of this low. 60-minute buy signal reached possible near miss target. CC. Might be a bear flag setting up a retest of this low, not particularly clear. On cotton, we've seen a nice move up here, no current negative divergence. Looks like there might be, but of course we never actually retested this high here, so we don't have any negative divergence at the moment. I'm leaning towards seeing a bit of retracement here. Bigger picture, I'm actually fairly bullish on CT. Lumber, I think I need to roll this into the next chart today, but I think we may well find that we're getting our rally just in the roll. But I'll have a better idea from this when I roll this into, I think, the January chart. On ZW, we've got a little double bottom which is broken up, and we're reaching the first target area here. We've pretty much reached that. We could be forming a larger IHS here, or potentially breaking up for a double bottom. So I'm watching this area here at the current high quite carefully. We do have a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing. But if we were to form a right shoulder here, we can set up a pretty nice looking reversal pattern. On corn, nothing compelling saying it's about to reverse in terms of divergence. We've got a nice looking little level top here, which could take us back into the 413 area. On soy, 60-minute sell signal is fixed, hasn't delivered a great deal so far. ZL, we've got a breakup from this IHS that could just fail. 60-minute sell signal is fixed and has made it most of the way to the possible near miss target. Live cattle, little level bottom here, trying to break up, but failing at the monthly pivot so far at 234.54. And lean hogs, nice looking little level top here, which may well break down and play out to a target in about the 94.5 to 95 area. 60-minute sell signal fix, hasn't delivered a great deal so far. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture chart on those. On coffee, I was looking for a retest of the high here at 4.408. Haven't seen one yet, and still wondering if we might see it. We've got some possible weak RSI 5 sell signal brewing on the weekly chart. On the daily chart, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal has fixed, and possible weak RSI 5 sell signal is brewing, and RSI 14 sell signal is possible full RSI 14 sell signal is brewing. We've got the same on the RSI 5, weak sell signal already fixed, and a full-size sell signal brewing. I'm wondering about reversal here, but there really is a compelling target at a retest this high here at 4.41. We've almost made it, and I'd like to see that made. Looking at sugar, still got this apocalypse scenario on the downside, which I'm keeping an eye on with a target in the 6.5 to 9 area. Short term, wondering about a double bottom here. No current positive divergence supporting that, but a nice looking pattern. Looking at cocoa, cocoa has been drifting down and could well drift down further. We're obviously well above historical norms in terms of where price is. On the daily chart, RSI 5 buy signal is fixed and reached the possible near miss target. That might be it for now. In terms of wheat, we've got a little level bottom here which is broken up. As I said, that's getting pretty close to the target, although we're not showing as much of that here. On the hourly chart, we've actually made the target area. On the weekly charts, no current divergence, but obviously waiting to see if we can break over this declining resistance trend line. On the daily chart, no current divergence either. I've marked in this IHS here, which hasn't made the target area on this chart, which is of course a day delayed pretty much. That has made it on the futures charts. On soybeans, this still looks like a bear flag for me. We could make it back into flag resistance, and may well do, and I've got that currently at about the 108.5 area, but after that I'm leaning towards the downside. On cotton, nice looking double bottom here, waiting to see if that's going to deliver. On lumber, we've got, on the bigger picture, we've got a double top here which has broken down. With a target basically at a retest of the early 2023 low. I'm leaning towards that making target. We've been seeing a bit of a rally here. Weak RSI 5 buy signal has made target. RSI 14 buy signal is fixed but not made target. We could see more rally here, but I think sooner or later gravity is going to take over and we're going to see more downside. So we shall see. All right, let's have a look at the cryptos quickly. All right, looking at cryptos. Bitcoin still holding up pretty well, of course, but not doing anything particularly exciting. On the daily chart, we've now got a possible RSI 5 daily sell signal brewing, which I'm watching. I was talking about this possibly being an ABC with another leg down coming, and I am wondering whether that's going to be the case. In terms of the short term, we've got an IHS target up here at about the 119.7 area, and we're getting pretty close to that. I'd quite like to see that hit, although you don't always get what you want, of course. In terms of Solana, this has been consolidating after reaching the and touching the 3SD upper band about 4 or 5 days ago. In terms of the pattern set up here. There's nothing obvious in terms of topping pattern. Bigger picture, we're heading up towards this IHS target in the 282 area, which I'm expecting to see made. And then on the next leg up, I'd expect to see that made, and then very probably a retest of the all-time high at 294.95. On terms of Ethereum, Ethereum has been consolidating after making a new all-time high. Fair enough. We've seen a back test of the daily middle band. In terms of the short term here, I'm again wondering about an ABC, possibly, which bottoming out and reaching a target in the 4062 area, although that could, of course, be the support on a large double top pattern, which doesn't necessarily need to play out. We shall see. All right, great. And that's everything. Everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys again on Sunday. Watch out today. Obviously, this interest rate cut is liable to cause market turbulence. In terms of the short-term patterns on equities, I'm seeing a lot of bull flags, and I'm wondering about high retests. All right, everyone take care. Cheers.